Good evening to all the participants and our esteemed faculty for today's evening program on World Hypertension Day 2023. As you know, the Indian initiative to control hypertension, which started in 2018 with 24 districts, and now it has spread to 104 districts all over India. Despite their best efforts, that what we have seen that till now, only 23% of the patients, they had control of their blood pressure, and 25% of the patients, they are lost to follow-up. And what they have suggested is to use different digital platforms to address these problems. And I think there is no better moment to discuss digital therapeutics in hypertension in this background. This year's theme is measure your blood pressure, control it, and live longer. And to this aim, I think in India at the present day, digital therapeutics will have a very important role. So without wasting much time, I'll go to the topic, but before that, I will request our convener of the Hypertension Council, Dr. Dilip Kumar, to brief us that what CSI has done so far. Dilip, please.
Good evening to everyone, and it's indeed a honor to be here and talking on what all CSI has done for hypertension awareness and any prospective steps in management of hypertension. So 1 year back we had a plan of bringing up the CSI guideline for hypertension, and we have chosen 40 contributors for that all across India, and all of them have sent their first manuscript. They have been revised, and some modifications have already been done, and finally things are getting compiled up, and I'm very sure that coming CSI we can present that as a CSI guideline for hypertension. Besides that, we also have done some work on having a surveys from physicians about how they manage hypertension, and this was done in association with Merck, and that compilation of data is also ongoing, and maybe will come up very shortly about the results of that trial, of the study. Third, in West Bengal, we have done a kind of a survey of field study of different regions about their demography and hypertension, the drugs they are taking, and how they are getting managed. And that too is in final process of publication. Manuscript, is being written. So this is what we have done in last 1.5 to 2 years in the front of hypertension from CSI.
Yeah, thank you, Dilip, for your.
If you allow me, I have to attend a session there as a facilitator, so I will be there. If I can just give a short, a presentation on the topic to me.
So you want to leave right now, Dilip?
Sir, after the initial presentation, I will give my talk and then I will leave. Okay. I have 20 minutes time with me.
Okay. When you come back, you might have 1 or 2 questions.
Okay.
Later.
Now I'll request our president, Dr. VH Bang, to give the keynote address on digital therapeutics in hypertension. Are we near to it yet? Sir, please.
Can you see my slides? Yes, sir.
Can you see my slides?
Yeah, we can see, we can see.
Okay, that's very important. So let's, so this is a very important day, World Hypertension Day. And this is basically for the awareness to the world community, to the people of the world, that hypertension is very common condition. 30% patients have hypertension. Means out of the 100, 30 people will have hypertension. And multifactorial origin, only 5% is secondary. 95% is primary or essential hypertension. And this has been a very important comorbidity. We all know it can lead to stroke, acute myocardial infarction due to ASCVD, and of course the kidney damage and eyes damage. It's a silent killer. That's why there is awareness day, because it's a silent killer. Unless you measure, you cannot make a diagnosis of high blood pressure. It's a very common condition. It is seen very commonly, particularly if it is inherited. It is definitely there in the progeny. Just 2 millimeter reduction in BP can reduce your stroke chance and AMI chance by 10%. These are the two important parameters for highest mortality and morbidity in the world, the acute MI and the stroke. So Awareness Day is there not for any other diseases in the heart, but special Awareness Day is there for hypertension for this reason. And nowadays, there are simple technology available for recording the blood pressure at home, which is preferred method of knowing the blood pressure, the home blood pressure. It is better than the office blood pressure because office blood pressure has a high white coat hypertension associated with it. So it's a very important aspect that we make, as a society, we make people aware of the hypertension as a major comorbidity for various important diseases. Digital therapeutics is a not very new thing. It's going on for many years. And it has particularly got the boost during the COVID time, where we required to do remote management of the patients. So what is it? It is nothing but high quality software program to treat, manage, and prevent diseases. You will be surprised to know that in 1977, in America, they formed a organization, non-profit organization, called as National Council for Prescription Drug Programs, Digital Therapy, for digital therapy. And this organization has registered all licensed pharmacies in USA and its territory and provided them the unique identification number. Because all this has to be passed through the regulatory authority. Even digital therapy has to be approved by, for standard recommendation, has to be approved by a regulatory authority. Here in America, it is US FDA. In India, we have a FDA. So all this is very important to understand before we harp on digital therapy. Second organization which is formed is called as Healthcare Information Medical System Societies. This organization exists in various parts of the world. It is there in North America, Asia, Europe, Latin America, Middle East, and United Kingdom. What is the activity of this organization? It's a mission-driven non-profit organization which offers unique depth, breadth, and expertise in healthcare innovations, public policy, workforce development, research, analytics to advise global leaders, stakeholders, influences on best practices in health information and technology. So this is a very, very important aspect we all should know, because many people may not know that such two organizations are already existing for advising how to proceed in trials in digital therapy, how digital therapy can help. So mission, what is the vision? To realize the full health potential of every human everywhere. And the mission is reform the global health ecosystem through the power of information and technology. It is available in the hand of everybody. You know, you'll be surprised to know that maximum number of internet holder or internet, having internet on the mobile smartphone is in India, not anywhere else. So it is very important for us, particularly, that we give importance or impart our, as a society, impart our own self for vision and mission of this organization. You'll be surprised to know so far on digital therapy, 1,15,169 publications have been done, and there are 7 journals which are publishing the digital trial therapies. So it's not only in cardiac condition, it's there in all the branches of medicine. So it's a very important aspect. 1,15,169 publications. So it's not only started now, it's there last 1977 onwards. So what is involved? It is Internet of medical things. We all know how internet is important, how Google Guru is important in giving us information on anything you want to know. It's in our hand. We don't have to go do anything, just put search and we get it. So this is very important to inform our public, our education. What is involved? A patient who's got a hypertension. So there can be organization involved, like hospital, primary care clinic, outpatient clinic, community pharmacy. Should be also part of the organization which can register the patient. Then case manager, the primary care physician, hypertension specialist, nurse. We all know the value of nurse in America is very high. So pharmacist and others. Now transmission, this is where we are aware that there is the desktop computer, laptop, smartphone, PDA and tablets, which are available everywhere. And we can all use for this information. So it can be available on mobile or landline network. And personal area network interface is very required for community education and providing information so that they are aware that digital therapy is something which is available and better than sometimes a traditional pharmacological therapy where a patient visits a clinic of a doctor and doctor prescribes the treatment drug to the patient. So instead, we can have a digital therapy, we can promote lifestyle management, which involves a very important aspect of regular education with the patient. And the last but not the least, the emergency drug management, remote consultation, medical imaging, diagnosis, e-learning, and telemonitoring. All this should be integrated to have a full digital-based hypertension therapy. This is very important. With public education, we can use SEO platform. We have to use now, in short time, we will have our public awareness website. which I have already declared that we are in a process of making it. So in few months, we will have it. And that will, that website will have SEO and all other and Google marketing, so that people become aware of our CSI activity and can be benefited in terms of lifestyle management of the diseases. You know that the hypertension, diabetes, and hypercholesterol, these three are very common conditions everywhere in the world. America spent $450 billion to manage these conditions in the office of the doctor, where he prescribes the treatment. So this is a very, yet the targets are not achieved in 50% of the patient. Mind you, the 50% of patient hypertension control targets are not achieved. This is a very serious problem. So we need something which can reach to remote person who's sitting in some small village, who does not have big hospital, who does not have a highly qualified cardiologist. They can be benefited with this treatment, but we have to spread awareness. Language is no problem. Any language can be converted from English to any other language, which is local vernacular language, can be converted for communication with the patient. Language is not a problem. So if we think India has a language problem, we don't know English, it's not a problem. It can be sorted out. So how do we go? So what is the idea? Idea is do a telemonitoring of vital signs. Take a track of what medications is he taking. Can we do better? Is he following lifestyle education? We all know what is lifestyle. I don't have to tell that. The diet plays very important role. Exercise and diet, these two things play extremely important role. If you keep your weight under control, don't take alcohol, don't smoke, regularly exercise, and eat plant-based food 90% of the time, you are bound to be healthy and you may not develop hypertension. So all suspected patients should be available on the app. There are several apps developed for control of hypertension. Several apps are there. We may not be aware of it. And those apps are available anywhere in the world. We can, have on the Android phone. We can have it on the iPhone. Everywhere these apps are available for patient education and treatment and tracking the lifestyle education. They're very important aspect because it controls the blood pressure very easily if we follow our lifestyle education sincerely. And video consultation, we all have learned during the COVID time, the value of remote consultation. How much I remember I used to do 30 consultations a day. So it's not something which is new to us now. Now we are aware of it, especially this particular platform, the digital therapy have got boost. And we realize the value of Zoom education. We realize the value of digital therapy, online education, consultation. We have tremendous approach on that. And this patient, the chronic conditions like hypertension require all this management, because if patient doesn't follow regularly what is being advised to him, he doesn't adhere to the treatment that is given to him. The only way to improve adherence to the lifestyle and the drug is to have regular communication line with him, which is easy for him and it is cost effective for him. He can afford it. So treatment intensification, we can always do it, but who should be registered? The suspected or established hypertension case, older adult, medical underserved people means remotely living people in the villages, high-risk patients, patients with multiple comorbidities, and isolated patients due to pandemics. All this require online consultation and therapies, the digital therapies. So what it improves? It improves the blood pressure control. It intensifies the treatment, reduces frequency of office visit, improved quality of life, improved medication and adherence, improved drug safety, and reduced management cost and improved outcomes. So there are several benefits which can be given. Just a simple app where patient can download the app and be in touch with the regular communication line, which provides education on how to control your blood pressure, what is lifestyle management, what are the drugs available, how drugs can impact. So all these things, and what are the side effects of the drugs, all this education will be available in the app. So first software for management of hypertension was developed in Japan. It's called as HERB system. And what it had a home blood pressure monitoring system. We all know that home blood pressure is more preferred than office recording blood pressure, because white coat hypertension is something which is very important factor. And then of course, ambulatory BP monitoring, no doubt we need to do that regularly. Otherwise, we will not know who has the blood pressure while he's sleeping. If blood pressure is there while he's sleeping, the end organ damage we know is the maximum during the night sleeping blood pressure, high blood pressure. So only way to know is ambulatory BP monitoring. There's no other way which we can record blood pressure of patient while he's sleeping. So home monitoring of the blood pressure through the Bluetooth connection, he can be in touch with the doctor and then he can consult a doctor. And there is, of course, a website application for healthcare provider and for the patients too. So this is a very simple tool, and it has been tried in patients above the age of 75 and less than age of 75. And who were the patient included in the criteria? The age more than 20 years, diagnosis of essential hypertension, office BP systolic of 140 to 179, above 180 of systolic blood pressure, and more than 110 of diastolic blood pressure are not for digital therapy. They have to visit the office of the patient, office of the doctor, and have their treatment. So antihypertensive medication, can be monitored on regular basis, whether they are adhered to it or not, which is a very important problem. We know 30% to 40% patients do not adhere to therapy, especially chronic therapies, every day to be taken. It's not possible we all know how difficult it is to take everyday drug. Can use a smartphone daily and agrees to follow scheduled visits to receive ABPM at booth at 16 and 24 weeks. So they had formulated a program in which they have done a trial on control and the patient, digital therapy and no digital therapy in control. And exclusion criteria, as I've already spoken to you, office BP of more than 180 and systolic BP of more than 180 and diastolic BP of 110. Suspected secondary hypertension, which is 5% of all the hypertensions. And female with a pregnancy, which is also a very difficult to manage hypertension, limitation of drugs are also there. So these are the patients to be excluded from the trial. And trial, what was the result of the trial? Result of the trial is if the patient age is less than 65, he can be benefited by digital therapy. And now many trials are going on after this pilot study on digital therapy of hypertension. It is mainly towards suggesting patient a lifestyle management. So what do we have? So currently we know we can use this device, this digital therapy for diagnosis, education of patient, research, monitoring, medication, and imaging. All these aspects are possible through the proper education, public education, through the app, where patient can go to the website and learn about how to manage hypertension, particularly the lifestyle management. And if he requires drug, he has to, of course, take the drug in consultation with the doctor, not on his own. So these are softwares which are purposely created for the analysis, diagnosis that is approved by regulatory authorities. So normally we write RX, here we write DTX, digital prescription. An evidence-based intervention applied via high-quality software program that are approved by regulatory authority with the aim of treating and managing hypertension. And then there are several things that we can use. We can use smartphone. We can use the PC-based, table-based device. We can use laptop. We can use robotics. We can use what you call AI. So all these things can be used for patient management and big data. Of course, big data are always there. So existing healthcare system has approved through proper regulatory authority that virtual healthcare professional can support the lifestyle intervention and help patient reduce the blood pressure through moderating the salt intake, asking him to stop or reduce alcohol, stop smoking, reduce body weight, healthy diet, regular exercise, stress management, and sleep condition. Air temperature control has importance. So we have started this year the Air Pollution Council, and that will impact all this. And already there is other organization which is doing this work of how air pollution affects the health of the cardiovascular health of the person, and prevention of constipation. This is also very important. If the bladder is full, if patient is constipated, blood pressure rises. We all know, we have seen that in cath lab regularly. So share the goal of target of BP and lifestyle improvement is the main goal of this Internet of medical things in hypertension. So patient education, counseling the patient, trial and experience, and habituation. All these are part of it, which I have already alluded to. And there are several trials which have shown that there is definitely a role for digital therapy. But these are all these are not large multi-center trials. These are expert opinion trials done by individual. So what we need to do is multi-center trial across the world, seeing the benefit of digital therapy. I'm sure this will ultimately happen. A lot of work is going on in the background in this direction. So I've told you there are 7-8 studies which have been already concluded, but these are all pilot study and these are all individual opinion of expert opinion. So basically the role of this digital therapy is to moderate salt intake, exercise, weight reduction, sleep quality, alcohol, stress management. And of course, with the color coding, the patient can identify that this is for him to exercise in a proper moderation based on the knowledge provided to him on the internet space through the app or through the website. And there is usually a therapeutic inertia. A patient doesn't go to a doctor until he has a significant problem. We all know the doctor is the last person on the list medically. Nobody wants to see the medical doctor or hospital. But we have to guide the patient that this patient, if you don't consult on proper time, slowly, silently, this disease will harm your important organ, will lead to stroke and acute myocardial infarction. This education is very, very important. And then we can save the organ damage. The red is the organ damage. The color coding is done. And medical therapy is not for patient. This has to be through the doctor. So blue for the patient, self-monitoring blood pressure is purple, and black is for the doctor, and organ damage is there or not there is based on the imaging and various investigation that we do for the patient. So thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, sir. It has been an excellent deliberation on the present problem of hypertension. And as we have pointed out very clearly, that there are several obstacles in formulating an effective plan for hypertension control, especially in India. And as the Indian Hypertension Control Initiative has pointed out, there are certain fields where they are lagging for registering more patients, for decreasing drop from follow-up, and better patient-doctor integration. And probably these are the areas where digital platforms and application of artificial intelligence might be of great help. So now, without wasting any time, we had all the great experts, information technology experts. We have the team from TCS, Mr. Sanjay Kimbahune, Mr. Abhinav Sinha, and Ovik Ghosh. And we have Dr. Sanjay Pal also joining from San Francisco. He is the Global Managing Director, Systems and Platforms, Accenture. So good morning, Dr. Pal, and we are very happy and obliged to have you. And so without wasting any time, I think we have a very important panel discussion. Yes,
Dr. Roy.
Yes. Sorry.
Sorry, yeah, I have to leave because I have a flight to catch to.
All right.
To what you call for the Sky meeting.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, everyone, for kind attention.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So
Thank
now
you.
we have
an opportunity also. That's also important.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. So now we have a very important panel discussion to see whether we have the all renowned IT experts to guide us how these problems can be mitigated so that CSI to sort of a future way to develop these for the CSI. And the moderator for this very important session will be our past president and president of Asian Heart Society, Dr. Mrinal Kanti Das. So Dr. Das, please.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. All the panelists are heartily welcome to this Hypertension Day program organized by Cardiological Society of India. I am not naming anyone in particular, but when I'll be putting the questions or comments, then definitely I'll be putting the name also. Just since the audience is not totally digitally aware people or digitally knowledgeable people, I would say, that's why we'll start with a little bit basic information from our cardiology colleagues, and then we'll switch over to the digital therapeutics and digital concept of managing the problem. To start with, I'll ask our President-elect and Scientific Chairman, Dr. P.C. Roth. Now, what is the exact number that is very, very important for everyone to know regarding the level of hypertension, or for both for the doctors as well as the patients. What is the number? What is the exact level of blood pressure that is to be taken into account for managing the patient of hypertension, so that the reduction of organ damage can be done?
You know, this usually 120/80 is normal, but for practical purpose, we should keep it in mind at 140/90, because all this above, we have to treat patients who are 140/90, 120/80 normal. In between are all patients who are prone to develop hypertension, we should keep it in watch, but treatment starts when it's 140/90.
Yeah, absolutely. As per the guidelines, it is below or equal to 140/90, but it can be lowered up to 120/80 if with the medications it is tolerated by the patients. Now, my second question is to Dr. P.S. Banerjee, who is the immediate past president of Cardiological Society of India. Now, what are the problems you get in managing the elderly patients with hypertension?
Yeah, that is a burning problem in your day-to-day practice, because as the average lifespan is increasing, which is around 72 years at the present time in India. So obviously the incidence of isolated systolic hypertension is a very common phenomenon. And when you are treating such patient, we are finding that it is very difficult to bring down this systolic blood pressure to the tune of 140 or less. Although it is said that this kind of people above the age of 65 years may tolerate up to 150 millimeter of mercury, but still then we believe that if you can bring down to 140 or less, then it will be better to reduce the incidence of stroke and target organ damage. And we all know that the isolated systolic hypertension, the main reason is the increased peripheral resistance, because the arteries get very stiffened as like lead pipe. So the elasticity is lost. So obviously these kind of patients are difficult people who are to manage with medication besides lifestyle modification. So in that case, of course, we have to use medicines which will be most.
Dr. Banerjee, you are muted.
Yeah, muted. Yeah.
Accidentally.
Usually
Yeah.
we think that they are better tolerating the medicines like the calcium channel blocker, like the amlodipine or long-acting nifedipine. They do well in reducing the peripheral resistance as well as the systolic blood pressure. And if this alone cannot control, then of course we can give diuretic if the patient is not salt sensitive. And in that case, the chlorthalidone, particularly which is having a longer half-life, so maybe given in the minimum effective dose to prevent the hyponatremia, because that is a very challenging problem in the elderly individual who are not taking balanced diet, so they are not properly cared. That is the problem. So the combination of the diuretic like chlorthalidone or indapamide,
Yeah, Dr. Banerjee
used
has
after the
lost his...
calcium channel blocker like nifedipine or the amlodipine, they do fail to control the isolated systolic blood pressure. So these are the two drugs, but always keep in mind that these patients are not developing the postural hypotension. That is another problem in this elderly individual. So must be taking or measuring the blood pressure both in sitting as well as in standing position, but you have to achieve a
Dr. Banerjee, you are again muted.
very important point, because they do have many comorbidities like diabetes. So of course, if they do have diabetes, in that case, you can also add, if the two drugs do not have adequate effect, then in that case, ACE inhibitor or ARB can be added as add-on therapy to elderly people if they tolerate well. So that
Dr.
is how
Banerjee, we'll be talking about the drug therapy. We were trying to explore what are the challenges we face. Now, I'll go to one of our Vice President, Dr. Suman Bhandari. Are you there? Dr. Bhandari? If he's not there, then I'll straight away go to Dr. Satyendra Tiwari. Satyendra ji.
Dr.
You
Tiwari,
unmute
please
yourself.
unmute
Yeah, good.
yourself.
Yeah.
Now,
Good evening. Yes.
My question to you that what are the problems you face while treating any patient of hypertension? What are the challenges you have in your day-to-day practice?
That's a very important
It's
question.
not an individual question, individual approach. If you consider a cohort, so what are the major challenges you face in managing the patient of hypertension?
The two problems which I'm really concerned that the patients coming to us, especially number one, young patient who is less than 40 or 35 years of age and with no risk factors, and they don't know that their blood pressure is high. And most of these young persons, then we have to focus on the secondary causes of hypertension. That is one very important. And second, which is a very concern, is the pregnant ladies coming first time and they are not aware. For cardiac clearance, some problem, some breathlessness or pedal edema, they come to us and then on first time they check the blood pressure, it's pretty high. So counseling them and continue to put them on initially with the restriction of salt and other things. And then in the third trimester, later on in the pregnancy, they need some medication to avoid high blood pressure and a smooth conduct of the deliveries and follow them subsequently. So these are the two challenges in our day-to-day practice in our institute.
So very important challenges. Really, for the young patients, the management is a very technically difficult problem. And also pregnancy-induced hypertension or the hypertension in pregnancy is another problem. But Dr. Debabrata Roy, our Honorary General Secretary, could you add to some of the challenges for which actually the concept of digital therapeutics have started? I am not talking about the digital therapeutics as yet now. I am requesting you to answer what are the challenges that actually ask for the digital therapeutics.
I think this has been very clearly elaborated in the recent progress report, which is submitted by the Indian Control of Hypertension Initiative. So what are the challenges? The first challenge is to make the person aware of the danger and the presence of high blood pressure. So despite their very well thought, well conceived plan and efforts, a significant percentage of patients, they are still not aware of the danger of high blood pressure. This is number one. Number two, even if they are aware, they are not very willing to take regular medication. This is the problem number two. Problem number three, even when they are taking medications, they are not aware that the blood pressure has to be brought under a certain level for an effective therapy. And number four is dropout. They are a tremendous dropout. They discontinue their medicines. They don't follow up properly. So this is number four. And number five is lack of effective communication between the doctors and the general population. In fact, the ICHI, they have introduced few apps like Simple Life app and others. But as high as 27% of the target group, they are lost to follow-up. And as high as 23%, nearly 1/4 of the population treated, they failed to achieve the target blood pressure. So these are the probable areas where digital platform might help, as shown by a trial from Tokyo, which has developed an integrated digital platform for increasing awareness for lifestyle modification techniques teaching, for ensuring drug compliance, and also by giving regular reminders for when to go to the doctor for a regular checkup. And one thing, everybody who is here in the panel, I'm happy to inform you that we have around 500 people right now who have logged in.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
it's a
Dr.
that's a
Vivek Gupta
brilliant.
Rai has beautifully explained about the challenges. And to summarize it precisely, two things are very, very important. One is the lack of adherence, and second is the therapeutic inertia, which are the most important factors for not having the proper result of controlling blood pressure. And also, not only that, the proper kind of prevention for the various organ damage in the form of stroke or myocardial infarction or heart failure or arrhythmias are not possible. Now, I'll go to the digitally knowledgeable people and who are working on this actually. To Dr. Sanjay Pal. What do you think that we are not being able to follow up many patients, whether they are taking the proper amount of salt or not, whether they are having the proper amount of sleep or not? We are not being able to even monitor in all patients whether the exercise level that are being to be done, that are recommended, are being followed or not. And I think the digital therapeutics has got its maximum role in controlling the whole parameters like this. What the digital therapeutics that the operators like you are proposing for mass communication or for mass consumption? Dr. Pal.
Thank you for inviting me, first of all. And again, I must start by saying I'm not a medical expert. I've been doing AI and engineering and computer science for all my life. But we have been recently working with Dr. Roy on some of the areas like rheumatic heart disease detection using by analyzing PCG signals and stuff like that. But again, to your specific question, I think today there are various wearable devices which are becoming commodities. That is, for example, even simple Apple watches. It used to be just simple watches, but now it can do variety of monitoring of health signals. And I believe that with the usage and monitoring of the signals from the wearables, you'll be able to figure out if somebody is exercising properly or not, because I have a full track record of whether somebody exercising that can be tracked. You can figure out if somebody is sleeping well or not, because you have that information available from the wearable device itself. You have, some of these daily exercises and sleep, and some of these things can be directly monitored from the wearable devices. But whether somebody is taking the right amount of food, like salt intake and others, that is difficult to monitor. But I believe that some of these things will also become available, because now with the new advances in technology, you'll be able to figure out the diet that people are taking. And essentially, the way I think is, as you get this information in real time, you are able to follow a pattern over a period of time about somebody adhering to the regulations or not. And I think that's the way eventually things will happen. And this information has to be tied to the appropriate stakeholders like the doctors, hospitals, and others, so that things can be monitored. And with the not only is signal availability, but also with the advancement of models, various deep neural network models and various other models, today we can do much better prediction You can detect in real time whether there's a potential for for hypertension. You can detect the potential anomalies. You can also combine different silos of information. So today we talk about more generic diagnostics, but once you combine various silos of information, for example, it's not just whether somebody is exercising or somebody is sleeping well at night, but also it has got to do with genetics. If you combine genetic information, if you combine other information which are in silos together with real-time monitoring, then you could do better prediction. And I think things are getting better with rheumatic heart disease. Some of the things that we've seen that we can reach fairly high accuracy. And so I'm hopeful that with the advancement of collecting data in real time and the advances in AI and other algorithmic techniques to analyze the data, we can do better predictive analytics and also prescriptive analytics.
Thank you, Dr. Paul, for your lucid description. How we can give a sort of a combining effect by using the different kinds of apps. Now I'll go to Dr. Sanjay, Mr. Sanjay Kimbahune, since he is from TCS and also working on various fronts in the application of digital technologies in healthcare. How you are going to solve this problem in various countries with the different economic status, with the different educational status. And though we are talking about the availability of the smartphone to the tune of say 1.4 billion people in Indians, but hardly the application of digital technology in healthcare is evolving for them, whether it is applicable to 1% or not. So these are certain problems. So what's your plan, or how you are going to mitigate these things, these challenges?
Yeah, thank
even
you,
after
sir.
having so much of the improvement in the digital technologies.
Sir, let me give you a little bit of background. When I spoke to Dr. Vijay Bang, I think it was a very enlightening discussion. And what he said that we should look at the bottom of the pyramid, right? Because the bottom of the pyramid is a huge pyramid. They are resource constrained, and we should develop solutions for them to monitor them. I'd like to bring to notice two pilots that we have done. So we have an innovation center in Nashik, which is called a Digital Impact Square. And here we develop technologies for masses. So I'd like to point out two experiences. So one is called as T Matrutva. Maternal mortality is a big problem. And the challenge statement was, how do you bring down the maternal mortality? And as you know, that hypertension in pregnancy is a big problem, right? And so what we did is we developed a digital-based follow-up system where A&M screened all the mothers, and there was an algorithm to get the risk score of the individual mother. And based on the risk score, a follow-up was done and subsequent actions were taken. Right. So this platform was deployed in Nashik district for about 2 years, and the maternal mortality was almost zero. Right? I think that is the power of digital technology. Of course, the major point is that doctors' contribution is most important. They actually save, but to enable them to focus on the critical patient, digital technology gives that edge. Now, the second thing is, second pilot what we did is for the XDR-TB patients, medicine adherence, right? So, as you know that XDR-TB patients has to take a lot of medicines, and adherence was a problem. So, how do you ensure that these patients take medicines regularly? So, there we developed a digital tool, pill box, and we deployed it in Nashik. And there were 160 TB patients, XDR-TB patients, and most of them were recovered completely. Now, coming back to how do we address the bottom of the pyramid problem? So, of course, Avi and Aniruddha will have many things to tell. But one of the simple things what I would like to bring to notice is that now there is a time has come for a doctor community to prescribe applications along with the medicines, right? So, as a patient, as a common person, I have full faith in doctor, and whatever doctor says, I will try to comply to it, right? Whenever doctor says that I have to take this medicine, I will take it, right? Whenever doctor says use this application, I will use it, because one of the challenges is that application discovery is a problem. There are so many applications and people don't know what application to use. Now, this application, as Dr. Sanjay Paul has rightly pointed out, no, this application along with some variables would give you data. Or simply speaking, like for hypertension or for diabetes, you have to walk 45 minutes, right? Now, on every mobile phone, there's an application which does a step counting. Now, whenever that person comes next, you can check his mobile phone, right, and see. It provides a summary form in a month, right? How much is his average step count? Now, the doctor can very easily see whether he has complied with the exercise status or not. Now, coming back to the bottommost pyramid, how you said that the mobile phone, right? Mobile phone is with everybody, right? Now, the measuring body parameters is a difficult thing, right? By just using mobile phone. But we did a small experiment. We said that no, everybody is having mobile phone and everybody holds mobile phone in his hand. Now, mobile phone has a touchpad, right? So, now touchpad is actually a capacitive device, right? With a micro capacitive, things are there. So, there are pixels are there. So, individual pixel, when you touch, the capacitance value changes. Now, it is a valuable source of your biosensing. Now, if you touch, right, and your blood flow is happening, so there will be a change in capacitance of the pixel of that capacitor. Right? So, we developed an algorithm to figure out the heart rate. The first stage is to develop to figure out the heart rate. Now, heart rate is also a good biomarker. So if you monitor it over a period of time, heart rate variability and all those things, could give you a lot of insights into the health status of the person. And everybody now, almost everybody has a mobile phone. He doesn't need any variable or something like that. So I think these are some of the points that I feel would be important from a digital perspective to handle the cases at the scale.
Thank you, Sanjay. I'll go to TCS research team or Mr. Avik Ghosh. Could you unmute yourself? Yeah.
Sure, sir.
Still now, what we have discussed is most of the things are still in the very, very basic format in the form of bits and pieces. Now, whether there are approaches going on in application of AI, so that all can be put together and ultimately it becomes very easily appreciable by the doctors, by the patients, or even naive patients, they can use it very easily. So whether there is any works going on in that aspect or not, AI in hypertension.
Right. So I think a lot of work is happening outside of India. A lot of work has been happening, which we have also been following. One of the n=1 trials of hypertension, they tried to understand using this continuous BP monitoring and what is the effect of exercise, what is the effect of diet and how it varies between night and day, how it varies between sitting and standing position. So the entire lifestyle was captured using a wearable, and then a device was used to capture the blood pressure, and they correlated, and the study was published. So these kind of researches have been happening, and I think these kind of researches, if we take the AI, it can really be possible to forecast, that when the risk is going to increase beyond a certain threshold, and when the person should seriously, consult a cardiologist or an expert. Like you were saying, this 30-40-year-old people, they don't even know that they have a hypertension, right? Because it's largely asymptomatic. And they don't get their blood pressure checked, because if you don't have a disease, why would you go for a checkup, right? But they have these fancy wearables and all. So can we give indication that probably something is wrong with you? Go and get yourself checked, right? Then they probably will go. And if we start sending everybody, then nobody will go, right? So we have to have an AI model that at least gives the risk accurately enough that people trust it, and then they go for a checkup. So these are kind of models that are happening. Then unification models are also happening, where we unify multiple sources of data and come up with a comprehensive patient profile, which can be used to manage the patient much better. So all these act as a decision support system for the expert physician.
Yeah, so the things are going in the right direction. Dr. Bhandari, Dr. Suman Bhandari, how many of your patients are actually using or taking the help of digital technology in your clinical practice?
In terms of patient education or in terms of taking
Both,
appointment?
awareness, education, then therapeutics, all these aspects.
I think it's a very small number at this time because, most of the younger people are more conversant. Anyone beyond 50, 60 is not very tuned to taking help of this new digital technology. Their children may be helping them, but we face people who are 50, 60 or 70s, and they're more, in the generation where digital technology was not very sound. So I think it'll come to age in the next 10, 15 years as more and more younger people, come of age. And most often we find that children who are overseas or in India who use the digital technology to educate their parents or even to take digital appointments. So I think it's for me, this is the experience. It may be different for other people, but for me, I think it's going to take time for the real masses to use this technology.
Absolutely. The challenge is more with the elderly patients, and definitely it will be solved after 10 to 15 years. Now, I request Dr. Debabrata Rai to carry forward the further questions because time is very short and another 10 minutes.
I have one question, I think, to Mr. Aniruddha Sinha, who has some practical experience of working on digital application in hypertension. As you know, whenever we go on, a very big challenge is integrating the signals into the platform and for analysis. So, like I think you can use the photoplethysmographic signals for blood pressure variability or not. But what we see in the projects that are going on now with CSI, that there are lots of issues to get pure signals. So how do you solve this? Mr. Sinha, I think you are muted somewhere. Yeah, we cannot hear.
It's not muted, but
okay, can you hear me now?
Forward towards the mic.
Yeah. Yes. Now we can.
Is it better? Okay. Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity to talk here. Yes, the signals that we get from the wrist wearable photoplethysmogram signals, they are noise prone because of the hand movement, right? And if it is in an ambulatory condition, then it is more noisy. So we do a lot of pre-processing on that to take care and extract the relevant information which gives related to the heart rate variability. In fact, we extract the breathing patterns from those PPG signals, and so the pre-processing step is the key. And then the features that we extract are robust to noise in both time and frequency domain. And then these features are then used to train machine learning algorithms for certain purpose, right? So it could be blood pressure estimations and others. So and in addition to this PPG, we also work with for an objective of cuffless BP measurement using the ECG signals also, and combine that with some of the cardiovascular models that we have developed, which is like a digital twin of heart. And then these ECG signals have additional information which maps to the contractility of the cardiac chambers. And then we have actually published some results where the blood pressure estimation post treadmill exercise in the recovery phase is matching well with the ground truth that was captured for various subjects. Right. So just to give a brief on what we do is that.
Okay. Dr. Dash, any more queries?
Just a minute. Yeah. I think there are more panelists who are waiting. If you will you allow for 10 minutes or 15 minutes?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Now the question goes to Dr. DP Shina is in the team. Dr. DP Shina.
Cannot see him right now.
Okay. Dr. Ashokan, could you unmute yourself? Dr. Ashokan, you are not there. Okay. Dr. Mondal, Subroto Mondal.
Sir, yeah, I'm here, sir. Yes, sir.
You see, nowadays we are taking care of the home BP management in a greater way because of the fact that, as Dr. Bang highlighted, that in the office BP there is a chance of having the white coat hypertension, and in that background, whether the home BP recording can be facilitated by the digital technology in a much more greater way.
Sir, surely, sir. I think we should propagate this thing and promote patients, because that's also compliance, and we can understand. I do many times patients, I ask them to take the BP machine in your home and purchase another one, then we can get better results, better compliance and better results with the control of the blood pressure. Always, definitely.
Yeah. And now again, since Dr. Ashokan is not responding, I'll go back to Dr. PC Roth.
You know, I find very interesting, this white coat hypertension is a real major problem. I have seen patients coming to, I have a patient recently, his BP, whenever he goes to doctor's room, his BP goes up to 180 to 200. And when he comes out, outside, he's recording at home, it is 120, 130, 80. But I saw him 3-4 times. So one of the solutions for it is, many of us have a medical assistant or a room outside when the patient is coming and waiting, get his BP checked up by a secretary or some assistant outside. I think a lot of this white coat hypertension can be eliminated. It's a real problem, because based on the blood pressure measurement in a consulting room, we give the treatment. But everybody must be having the experience, the patient telling us at home, my BP is normal, but when I come, I'm just going up. So how to do it? I mean, you can ask for ambulatory BP and all these things. The simplest way is to get the BP checked before he enters your room. That is one way of eliminating this white coat hypertension.
Yeah, it was well discussed in sprint trial. As you know, that they took up the method of self-monitoring or self-recording of BP by the digital machine. So that was one of the ways by which it can be mitigated. In fact, now after the corona, we have started having this kind of approach, but it is again recorded by the nurses rather than being recorded by the the patients themselves, because of obviously for the reason that we don't like to give the machine to the patients. That's why. But still, I think this is a very good way of mitigating self-recording of BP, and home BP recording, as Subroto was telling, is another way by which you can rule out the white coat hypertension and give much more management schedules in the form of digital therapeutics or whatever you call it. Now,
I have a concern. I have a comments regarding Dr. Rath's concern that patients coming to the hospital and recorded a very high blood pressure. So what I do for many years, that all hypertensive, I ask them to have their blood pressure at home and make a record of that, and then they come to us. So that gives you pretty decent idea of where they lie, what's their blood pressure.
We are talking about the patients who are educated, they can measure the blood pressure at home. This is a different issue. But look at the district Majority of the patients do not know how to, they don't have BP measurement.
Yes, that
The
is a
best way
concern.
is to get the BP checked outside by nurse or somebody else before they enter. And you tell them home BP and all these things, they don't have it. They don't have the BP apparatus at home majority. They will not do it. Best way is to get it checked when they're in the hospital by somebody else before they enter. I think that's the best way to eliminate this. Practical way.
Dr. Pal is there. Dr. Pal, Sanjay Pal.
Yes, I'm there. Yeah.
Yeah. We are going to have a full one-day program on, application of digital technology in cardiovascular disease management, and also role of air pollution, as Dr. Bang was again highlighting the role of air temperature. So that comes under the purview of pollution. And also we are going to have a one-day meeting, not exactly one day, at 4 to 5 hours meeting. And you are one of the speakers there also, as I have found from the program that is drafted. Now, what's your take in educating the people about the all people, not a particular group, educating the people about the use of digital therapeutics, including the digital technology? So what's how you can actually make it more popular and more acceptable, so that it can be taken up by the regulatory bodies? Another factor is regulatory bodies also, they may not accept it, but how you think about it?
No, I think that the comment that Sanjay made is very well done. That is, when the doctor is giving the prescription, maybe not just the medication, but also the application, so that the patient thinks that, hey, it's not enough just to have the medication, but the application is very important. So this is a direct, direct use of education, so the patients get used to the digital technologies. But also in terms of generating the awareness, again, I have done a lot of work when I was in India for Accenture, for working with Anganwadi workers and others. So I think that, and some of these people that are not only Anganwadi workers, but also many of these people who are going to the community workers, many of the educated community workers are going to the communities and teaching people about variety of things. I think that in that curriculum, so the digital technology should be included, so that they are aware of those things. And in practice, I think that, as I said, that maybe the application prescription together with a regular prescription would be useful. And the other thing is, as people are saying that people have smartphones, everybody has smartphones. So sending some alerts, sending some of the information from time to time in their language, or today even converting text to speech and other things are possible, so that these things happen behind the scenes. They don't really have to explicitly click on things and start apps, but these things should be given to them, just like text messaging goes. Similarly, some of these things should be sent to people, so that today you can send text messages, everybody, doesn't matter where that person is, as long as your phone, you're okay. Similarly, those messages should be sent so that people start seeing the value of that in their life. So I think it's when I look at India, it's a huge challenge, because the bottom of the pyramid is so big and so distributed. I don't think it can be done in one shot, but step by step, I think you can conquer it.
Yeah, fantastic prescription by Dr. Paul. Actually, we can do it. And now we'll have to write the app as well in the prescription. Fantastic prescription by Dr. Paul. I don't have any particular question right now with me, but definitely it was a very, very nice discussion, and many things came out very effectively. And if some of them can be implemented, and step by step we go ahead, definitely hypertension as a menace will be a controllable disease, and will be having greater effect in terms of reducing the cardiovascular morbidity and mortality. And we should have the aim, and CSI should take up the issue, so that the digital knowledge is increased more and more. we started the journey in 2019 by putting our programs in scientific program as well, and it is being pursued till today, and it will be pursued later on also. And with these few words, I go back to Dr. Debabrata Roy to have his comments or questions, and then wind up the session.
Yeah, I think, thank you, Dr. Dash. I think we had a very illuminating discussion today on application of digital platform in control of hypertension, especially in India. And so many valuable suggestions were made and how the challenges can be tackled. And I hope that even after my tenure is over this December, our next president is here, Dr. Roth, and the next secretary along with him will be the next secretary. And I think they will take up this thing very seriously to tackle hypertension in India and to assist the Indian government also in their endeavor to control hypertension. So I thank you again, our president-elect, all the past presidents, respected executive committee members, and our esteemed experts from IT, Dr. Sanjay Pal from Accenture, and Mr. Sanjay Kimbahunge, Mr. Avik Ghosh, and Aniruddha Sinha from TCS to participate in today's program. I think many of our delegates, they are benefited by your insights and by your expert comments today. And I hope, they will be interested more in applying digital technology for their patients. So thank you again. And hereby I conclude this session. Thank you.
Thank you.
A good night and
Thank you.
a
Thank
good
you, sir.
Thank you.